Communities in Clarendon and St. Thomas are now under quarantine. COVID-19 cases are well past 900, yet some persons are still not adhering to the guidelines set by the government. If that is the case, how will we flatten the curve? How will we get our economy back into full operation and running smoothly? How will we get back to our pre-COVID-19 lives? If we want to make Jamaica COVID-19 free and resilient, we must all play our part by being responsible citizens. That is, following the social distancing guidelines, wearing masks in public spaces, and washing our hands or using hand sanitizer if soap and water are not readily available. Your Jamaica Magazine program continues with a word of advice, followed by the news. Stay with us.
The JIS Heritage Competition is celebrating 10 years of youth expression on Jamaican history, culture and tradition.
Let me tell you about what Bashment's heritage.
Jamaica still needs national heroes to preserve our cultural legacy.
Bogo got his men and led them down over the hills to Spanish Town.
Jamaican music to me represents our identity and culture as Jamaicans.
Add your voice and play your part in preserving our national heritage. The JIS Heritage Competition 2020, coming soon.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Monday, August 10. The Ministry of Health and Wellness is urging the public to be vigilant as the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Jamaica surpass 1,000 and related deaths reach 14. Up to news time, there were 1,023 confirmed cases, and a 37-year-old male from St. Catherine was identified as the newest victim of the virus. Of the total confirmed cases, 745 persons have recovered, and the country is currently managing 206 active cases, including 6 moderately ill patients. 375 of Jamaica's total case count are imported, 312 are contacts of confirmed cases, and 76 are local transmission cases, not epidemiologically linked. Another 236 are related to the workplace cluster in St. Catherine, and 24 are under investigation. In light of the recent uptick in cases, the ministry is reminding Jamaicans to take the virus seriously and adhere to the various safety and sanitation protocols. These include washing of hands with soap and water, maintaining the prescribed 6 feet physical distance from others, and wearing a mask when in public situations. Visitors and returning residents are also reminded that they must comply with quarantine orders to help protect their own health and that of others. Meanwhile, Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Christopher Tufton is reporting that no case of the novel coronavirus has been recorded in the country's penal system.
We have not had any cases of COVID in those institutions, and that's because of I suspect, the protocol that we have in place, the alertness of those who are involved, the fact that the health authorities do keep in touch and provide appropriate levels of guidance.
In March, the Department of Correctional Services activated its COVID-19 protocol. It included a suspension of visits and the collection of food and care packages, inmate and staff sensitization, increased supply of sanitizers and hand soap, and enhanced sanitization of surface areas. As it relates to infirmaries, the minister says a worker at the St. Anne Infirmary had contracted the virus, but the situation was quickly addressed to prevent any spread and protect residents. Dr. Tufton was addressing a virtual press briefing held recently at the office of the Prime Minister. In other news, about 8,000 residents of Hanover are now in position to receive potable piped water after the Claremont to Jericho water supply system was commissioned into service on the weekend. Prime Minister Andrew Holness officially commissioned the $400 million system, which promises to end 48 years of water scarcity in the area. The National Water Commission installed a relift station from which water is pumped into a 100,000-gallon bolted steel tank and is gravity-fed to the service areas. The Prime Minister encouraged the residents to be responsible with their use of the water and pay their bills.
So I'm urging all of you that the $400 million of investment that is made has to be recouped. We have to make that back. Why? Because we have to take that money now and go to another community because everybody must have access to water regardless of your income level.
The Ministry of National Security has acquired 2 mobile driving simulators to train at-risk youth from vulnerable communities in St. James and Kingston to operate heavy-duty vehicles. The simulators, which cost $82 million, were commissioned on Friday by Prime Minister Andrew Holness and Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang at the Cornwall Automotive Training Institute in Montego Bay. The acquisition is in keeping with the technology component of the ministry's Music, Sports and Technology program, designed to engage, train and certify at-risk youth in specialized skill areas. It enables participants to enhance their skills in driving heavy-duty equipment, which prepares them for jobs locally and overseas. Instructor and assistant lecturer for the Articulate Truck Driving Program at the Caribbean Maritime University, Kevin Lee, says 21% of students from vulnerable communities who he taught in a similar program obtain employment both locally and overseas. The National Security Ministry has partnered with the CMU and Heart Trust NSTA to deliver and certify training in the Articulate Truck Driving Program in Kingston and Montego Bay. The Ministry of Education is urging parents who wish to homeschool their children in the upcoming academic year to apply as soon as possible. The call was made by Acting Chief Education Officer Dr. Kassan Troop during a recent back-to-school digital town hall meeting. Dr. Troop says the ministry has a homeschooling framework in place, which is monitored by its Independent Schools Unit.
Parents who are interested can apply through our Independent Schools Unit at isu@moey.gov.jm. And we will provide you with the guidelines, and of course we will support you through this process if you are so interested in this approach.
The National Parenting Support Commission is also offering assistance to those who want to homeschool their children.
There are some parents whose jobs require that they go out every single day. And I know as a parent it's going to be very difficult for me to operate at my optimal if I am concerned about the safety of my child. So let us have discussions about it. Perhaps you parent, if you're the one who has this consideration at this time, you'd want to call the commission and let me sit down to see what your specific circumstances are, and let's see how we can work out a plan. I repeat, the number is 967-7977.
And finally, the Ministry of Education will begin the phased introduction of electronic textbooks to replace printed versions during the 2020-2021 academic year. Acting Chief Education Officer Dr. Kassan Troop says the process will get underway in secondary institutions.
Some of our high schools, our students will be benefiting from the e-text, what we call flat books. We are discussing with the Book Industry Association of Jamaica. You can imagine that they too need some time to transition. They would have had their books printed already and their model set up already. So they too need some time. So we are in negotiation with them, and we have committed to providing some e-books this year for the high school system, and then we will continue to transition into that phase going forward.
Dr. Troop gave the update at the ministry's back-to-school digital town hall meeting recently. The information session was jointly hosted by the ministry, the National Parenting Support Commission, and the National Parent-Teacher Association of Jamaica. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
We really need to cut the hate and work together as a country, as communities, to overcome. I really do not want to hear about any case of persons threatening people, abusing persons because they hear that they have the virus. And also for healthcare workers, we don't want to hear that we are also not cooperating with our healthcare workers.
Wearing a mask, washing hands frequently with soap and water, maintaining a distance of 6 feet apart, and restricting unnecessary travel are some of the ways you can limit your risk of contracting COVID-19. We should all play our part to ensure that we get through these trying times together.
Jamaicans are a touchy-feely bunch. We love to show and share our affection. That's one of the reasons the current global COVID-19 pandemic has been so difficult to bear. There can be no hugging, handshakes, fist bumping, or kissing. And most importantly, we now have to ensure that we maintain a physical distance of at least 6 feet apart. Social distancing is one of the methods the government of Jamaica is using to contain the spread of the novel coronavirus. This involves limiting frequent or close physical contact. In addition, persons are required to stay at least 2 meters apart. Why? Because COVID-19 is spread through droplets when an infected person coughs, sneezes, and even talks. By minimizing the amount of close contact we have with others, we reduce our chances of coming in contact with those droplets and catching the virus. As new information emerges and situations improve, the government of Jamaica has been adjusting the rules. But some things remain constant, like wearing masks when entering public spaces, avoiding touching mouth, eyes, or nose, washing hands frequently with soap and water, and using a hand sanitizer if soap and water is not readily available. Generally, public gatherings should not exceed 20 persons, and the 6 feet apart minimum should be maintained. There is now a 50-person limit at weddings and funerals, provided that the venue allows for the 6 feet apart rule.
The number of persons in the space to square footage, 1 person to 36 square feet, which would give you the ability in terms of the functional space to maintain social distance, that if you stand in the square of 36 in the center, then you should have 3 feet apart. The other person standing in the other square should have 3 feet apart between both squares. From the center, you should have your 6 feet apart. So if your space can only accommodate 30 people with that physical distance requirement, then it is only 30 persons. If your space can take 1,000 persons, there is a cap, only 50.
A maximum of 15 persons can be at a burial site. Social distancing is also required in all public and private offices. The same is true for business establishments. Dining at restaurants is permitted, but occupancy cannot exceed 50% of the facility's capacity with no more than 4 persons seated at a table. Only 60% of the seating capacity at cinemas, playhouses, and theaters can be used, with 2 rows left empty to facilitate the movement of persons across the width of the venue. A family or group of 4 are allowed to sit side by side. Buses will only be allowed to carry seated passengers. Public passenger vehicle license holders may carry the full complement of passengers as stipulated by their license. This, however, is subject to all occupants wearing masks, all windows being open, and air conditioning being off.
Remember, observe the measures. Wear your mask, do your hand sanitizing, do your social distancing, and just be very careful about your personal health and your own interactions.
Jamaica Social Investment Fund, JSSI, celebrating over 20 years of investment in community development. JSSI has forged relationships with international funding partners as well as private and public sector entities. Let us continue to invest to reduce vulnerabilities. Let us build our social capital and resilient infrastructures to ensure full participation in Vision 2030. JSSI, investing for community development.
Mosquitoes will breed in containers that hold water. Tightly cover water storage containers such as drums, buckets and tanks, or cover the water surface with cooking oil. Punch holes in all tins, plastic containers and boxes to prevent the collection of water before disposal. Cover old tires or fill with dirt. Scrub all vases once per week to remove mosquito eggs and dispose of garbage by placing in plastic bags. Do your part to prevent mosquito breeding. A message from the Ministry of Health.
The Atlantic hurricane season is in full swing. Thankfully, we have so far been spared any severe weather systems. Despite this, we should always be prepared for these natural occurrences. Get information on some of the commonly used terms you may hear during this period so that you know how to act when the time comes.
Every month of the year, there has been in our history some incidents of flooding that has taken place in some aspect of the country. And that is something that we have to take note of. Apart from monitoring and giving the forecast, we are also responsible for warnings. And so there are some warnings that we want you to take special heed to if you consider yourself to be vulnerable in any situation. When we speak about a flash flood watch, it means that there is a feature, some kind of weather system that is going to produce enough rainfall that makes it possible for you to get flooding. So it means start to watch, because the water levels are going to be increasing and there is the possibility of the flooding. Now, if we start to see that in some area flooding has started to occur, or if we believe that the flooding has been so close to an area that it is going to happen in that area in a short space of time, we will escalate that flash flood watch and refer to it as a flash flood warning. So when we talk about a flash flood warning, it means not only that the flooding is possible, but the flooding either has already started to happen or is going to happen in a very short space of time because it is very close to that area. So it is important to know what the watch means as opposed to what the warning means. Usually with the warning, we will not only issue a warning, but we will also tell you what kind of actions are important or what you should not do. Like, do not go through flooded waterways because it could pose a risk to your life and to your property. Also, if you live in low-lying or flood-prone areas, if it is an area that is regularly experiencing flooding, a flash flood warning for your area would mean that now is the time to move to higher ground because the flooding has already started or is going to happen very shortly. It is also important for us to know where we live, because sometimes in our messages we might not refer to the actual town, but we will tell you what part of the country the flood watch or the flood warning is relevant to. So if we talk about central parishes, we are referring to Clarendon. We're also talking about Manchester. We're also talking about St. Anne. These are central parishes. So you have to be knowledgeable of where you live so that you know whether the message actually applies to you. The messages that we issue for hurricanes and tropical storms are watches and warnings as well, like the flooding. But in this case, for a tropical storm or a hurricane, when we issue a watch, it means the conditions that are associated with the storm or the hurricane are possible within a certain time frame. If you hear tropical storm or hurricane watch, you could get the impact of that system within a day and a half, 36 hours. If we mention that it is a tropical storm or a hurricane warning, it means that you only have 1 day before that thing can affect you. So we are moving to how quickly you need to make sure that you are prepared by naming it a watch or a warning. So the watch is the first level of the alert that there is something that is likely to affect you. But when we move to a warning, it means now is the time to batten down because you most likely are going to experience that storm or hurricane. We might have a tropical wave, which is the least of them, in that it can still cause a lot of rain and it can still cause flooding and devastation, but it will not have very strong winds associated with it. But then there is the tropical depression that is a little stronger because now you have winds that are moving with it, gusty winds, and it also has a lot of rainfall. Then you have tropical storms, which is a more severe kind of tropical depression because the winds are even stronger. And then if it gets even stronger, it could become a hurricane. So it's important that you have your radio and that your radio is battery controlled, not dependent on electricity, so that you can hear the warning messages that come from the meteorological service. Also bear in mind that if you dial 116, you will be able to hear the latest message coming out of the Meteorological Service related to any warnings. We cannot stop paying attention. We cannot let down our guard. You have to prepare yourself and stay prepared until we are out of the threat.
Whenever you hear the following tone, the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, will be giving information on an emergency situation affecting the island. Please be on the alert and listen to your radio and television for further information. This was a test of the Emergency Alert System, brought to you by ODPEM.
Government has announced the controlled reopening of parks, and it couldn't have come at a better time, as the summer plants are in full bloom. Find out more about one of these tropical beauties. During a stroll down any Jamaican road in the summer, prepare to be stunned by the natural beauty of one of the planet's most beautiful trees. Its flaming red, orange or yellow flower sets it apart from the other flora around. When the wind caresses its umbrella-shaped crown, its pods make an enthralling sound. Oh yes, you've encountered the prismatic Poinsiana.
It's a very popular tree in Jamaica, and it's been planted for over 100 years.
Delonix regia is a flowering member of the bean family. It's known here in Jamaica as the Royal Poinsiana. Other parts of the Caribbean call it flamboyant, flame of the forest, or flame tree. A native of Madagascar, a country off the coast of the African continent, this striking plant is a feature of many Caribbean landscapes. It is also common in the tropical parts of Asia, the Pacific and Australia, as well as North, Central and South America. The Royal Poinsiana is the official tree of Key West, Florida. It has also been the long-standing national flower of St. Kitts and Nevis. Not surprising then that it would take its name from the man who is believed to have introduced the plant to the region, St. Kitts and Nevis's first French governor, Philippe de Poincy.
It came to us via St. Kitts and was introduced at around the same time that Castleton was formed as a botanical garden. So it got here at the same time with some other legumes, meaning trees that are in the bean family. So it's in the same section of the bean family as, say, thinking toe, which a lot of people know, and logwood.
This evergreen plant grows tall and fast, reaching heights of up to 12 meters in 6 years under favorable conditions. The Royal Poinsiana's trunk can be wide but not overly large, as it produces a light flimsy wood. Its bark is usually smooth and straight, but may extend into several stalks and grows low with regular pruning. The tree's big green buds burst open to reveal large showy pentamerous petals, complete with its fruit protruding through its center. This legume starts out soft, small and green, then ripens into a long, hard wooden brown pod.
The seeds are large, which means that they have enough food stored to just exist in a room at ambient temperature.
The plant grows easily from seeds or cuttings. As a member of the legume family, the leaves of the Royal Poinsiana are compound in nature, comprising of several little leaflets. These fern-like leaves form a dense, unmistakable umbrella-like canopy, a well-needed respite from the hot summer sun.
Because the flowers are so showy and conspicuous. Lots of people like to plant it. Over the years, we have had it in many parks, and it has generally reproduced itself in any possible space that it finds suitable.
Though revered for its ornamental quality, the pods of the Royal Poinsiana are also ideal for art and craft. You can make necklaces, bracelets, or art pieces by dabbing it with some paint. You may get a percussion instrument by shaking the pods, or you can make an actual maraca by placing the seeds into a calabash.
There are also studies of the chemical compounds found in the seed, but that's strictly an academic exercise. I gather from some searches that some folks in the Central American area use it medicinally.
If you're interested in brightening up your piece of the rock with this flaming forest flower, then here are some things you may need to know. While incomparable in its beauty, the Royal Poinsiana is an insect magnet. It's prone to termite infestation and has its own caterpillar that turns into a moth along its bark. And this tree sheds. So depending on how you view the world, it could be a messy pile of flowers or your own summer snow. Due to its dense shade, the Royal Poinsiana may prevent the growth of other trees. Its extensive root system may also pose a threat to your sidewalks.
It's a tree that needs to be tended if you're going to put it in your yard. But it's worth it because in a good year of blooming, it is rather spectacular.
If you're still mesmerized by this statement piece, you may purchase a plant with a color of your choosing from the forestry department.
Mosquitoes can spread diseases such as dengue fever. Common symptoms of dengue include fever, severe headache, pain behind the eyes, muscle pain, joint pain, skin rash, nausea, and vomiting. If you feel you have dengue fever, visit your doctor or health center, rest, drink lots of fluids, use only paracetamol for pain. Do not take aspirin or other painkillers. Protect yourself from dengue and other mosquito-borne diseases. A message from the Ministry of Health.
And that's where we leave you, but only for today. We return tomorrow with another informative packed program packaged just for you. We are available at your leisure online. There's our website, jis.gov.jm, our YouTube channel, our pages on all the social media platforms, and our mobile app that's smartphone compatible. On behalf of the entire team at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.